Mama used to say, sticks and stone may break my bone. Oh, my God. Help me, somebody. Sim was lauded as the father of gynecology after his experiment on at least 7 enslaved black women and girls in Montgomery between 1845 and 1849 helped him develop a technique to repair a chronic complication of childbirth. Though the potentially life-threatening experiments caused excruciating pain, Sims legally needed permission only from the enslaved women's owners. Y'all, special interest group, think you struggling now? Help me, somebody. Medical exploitation of black women. Sims' experiments on Lucy were unsuccessful and nearly killed her with severe blood poisoning. He nonetheless continued to perform procedures on enslaved women. Are you enslaved now? Sometimes drugging them so they could not resist. Sims subjected Annika, an enslaved teenager, to at least 13 operations without anesthesia before it developed a repair technique that was deemed safe to attempt on white patients. Help me, somebody. Come on, y'all. You keep using the term racist and racism. You do not want it to become a term of endearment where it has no value. One thing what the judge did, the judge said, now here's what this is, and under our laws, this is what happens, this is the way this look, and according to a similar situation, and all you lawyers know what that means out there, similar situation means something. It has to be similar. Similar. All right? Situation. That's a legal term. I want to thank all of you for tuning in. Enjoy the day out there. Nick says it's going to be nice out there, but you better get in on it now because it's going to be a little something later on. So try to enjoy it while it's pretty cool. It's probably about 60 degrees out there. It's not bad. So thank you for tuning in. Have a blessed day. Oh, my God. Help me, somebody. I know I'm right about this.
Thanks for listening to Taking It to the Street Beat on 103.7 and 1240 AM, the new WHBU.
The preceding program was a presentation by James Burgess and Taking It to the Street Beat. The views, opinions, and commentary were solely those of the host and guests and are not endorsed by Whoop Boom Radio, this station, or personnel.
The new 103.7 and 1240 AM WHBU, Anderson, Madison County.
Deadly cliff collapse. NYC officer suspended. I'm Christopher Cruz. A beach in Southern California remains closed this morning after a huge portion of the cliff above it collapsed, killing 3 people.
20 tons or more of sand, rock, and debris broke off from a cliff about 3 in the afternoon Friday, burying beachgoers. This is not uncommon, says State Park Chief Brian Ketterer.
Probably, I'm going to say, I'll guess 4 to 8 per year. Nothing of this magnitude, but we have had some in the past.
While no official cause of the collapse has been determined, there is erosion that naturally happens. Ketterer says there's water seepage in these bluffs, sandstone that sits on other soils, then sandstone again. It's very wet, very heavy. I'm Jim Roop.
New York City police officer Daniel Pantaleo has been suspended. The city's police commissioner made the decision yesterday after an administrative law judge recommended the officer be fired over the 2014 chokehold death of Eric Garner. It's another weekend of protests over a controversial extradition bill in Hong Kong. Correspondent Ben Wiedemann says among the protesters are those who want the protest to end.
As we've spent the last 9 weeks focusing on the pro-democracy movement, that there is another side of the coin, and there are those who are happy with the situation as it is and feel that perhaps given some of the disruption to life in the territory, it's time that life gets back to normal.
North Korea this morning confirming that its leader Kim Jong-un supervised a test firing of a new multiple rocket launcher system this week. 19 of the Democrats running for their party's presidential nomination are in Las Vegas this morning. Some of them will speak to a meeting of the huge American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, among them former Vice President Joe Biden, Senators Elizabeth Warren, Kamala Harris, and Bernie Sanders. I'm Christopher Cruz.
This is your WHBU forecast.
Today's weather, beautifully sunny day today with a high of 85. Tonight, mostly clear skies with a low of 62. Now Sunday, another beautifully sunny day, high of 86. And Sunday night, mostly clear with a low of 64. I'm Nick Isbell, and that's your weather.
Liberty Mutual Insurance presents. When generic insurance takes hold, one handsome man and one flightless bird are teaming up to save the world. Money. Their message? Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance so you only pay for what you need. Their mission? Savings. Their relationship? Best friends. Say hello to Liberty Mutual's new spokes team. And Doug.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Underwritten by Liberty Mutual Insurance Company and affiliates. Equal housing insurer. State laws apply.
Hey, school's almost in. Shop smart when you make Burlington stores your back-to-school headquarters. From shoes to backpacks to lunch bags, Burlington is packed with the very best to send them back to class in style. Score the latest tees, jeans, and activewear, plus all the basics like socks and underwear, too. The brand names you love at up to 60% off other retailers' prices every day. Breathe easy. You're ready for the school year. Burlington, style for everyone.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
4. Straight down the middle. It went straight down the middle.
It's time for the Golf Show, presented by Cohout and O'Neill Golf Management, the French Lick Resort, and the PGA Tour Superstore. The Golf Show takes a weekly look at golf in East Central Indiana and beyond. And now, here's your host, Brian Hammons.
And good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Golf Show, brought to you by Cohout and O'Neill Golf Management, the French Lick Resort, and the PGA Tour Superstore. Joining me today, as always, alongside is our producer, Nick Isbell, and I think we've got a good show for you. Dottie Pepper will join us to talk about the final regular season event on the PGA Tour taking place in Greensboro, North Carolina. We'll talk with former Ball State golfer Brittany Kelly, who is enjoying quite the summer, and we'll tell you about a stat that proves just how important length is in the modern game, and we'll learn how one of the top instructors in the state, Brad Fellers, is teaching that to his junior students. But first, let's get you caught up with what is happening around professional golf. And as I mentioned, they're playing the final regular season event of the year on the PGA Tour this week at the Wyndham Championship at the Sedgefield Country Club in Greensboro. This is the final regular season event. That means this is the last chance for players to get inside the top 125, get into the FedEx Cup playoffs, which begin next week, and more importantly, earn their exempt status for next year, to earn their playing privileges on the PGA Tour. If you finish inside the top 125 in FedEx Cup points, you are fully exempt for the following year. Ben Ahn leads at 13 under par, one-shot lead over Bryce Garnett. Now, Bryce Garnett is outside the top 125. He's fighting to get in the playoffs, but he won a year ago, so his exempt status for next year is not in question. But that is not the case for three players who are at 11 under par, tied for third place. Patton Kizzire is 129 in points. Adam Svensson is 171st, and Josh Teeter is 165th. So this is a very important weekend for them as they try to earn exempt status into next year. And another important number to keep in mind is 150, because if you finish between 126 and 150 in FedEx Cup points, you have what is called conditional status on the PGA Tour, which means you can get in events when your number comes up. So that's a chance to play, depending on where you are, where you fall between 126 and 150. You can play a significant amount of tournaments being conditionally exempt. Now, catching up with some Hoosiers that are playing this week and are trying to secure their spots for next year. Tyler Duncan, who is from Columbus, Indiana, played his college golf at Purdue. He's at 5 under par. He made the cut. Now, Tyler's 162nd on the money list, and he's one of those players. His first goal this week is to get inside the top 150 to get some conditional status for next year. Obviously, if he has a great weekend, he'd love to get inside the top 125. Patrick Rogers has missed most of the year. He's from Avon, Indiana, with injuries. He missed 16 weeks with a wrist injury. But he's comfortably inside the top 125. He's at 5 under par this week so far through 2 rounds. Chase Wright, who's from Muncie, missed the cut at 2 under par. He's 153rd on the money list, so he doesn't even get conditional status for next year. He will have to go to what is called the Korn Ferry Finals. There's three tournaments that players can go to who finish between 126 and 200 in points. And try to earn their card that way, and that starts in a couple of weeks. Those 3 tournaments do. The top 25 in points after those 3 tournaments earn their PGA Tour card, so that's going to be the route that Chase Wright is going to have to take. Adam Schenk from Vincennes, Indiana, he also played at Purdue. He missed the cut at 1 under par, but he's in the playoffs. He's inside the top 125. Chad Collins from Cloverdale, he missed the cut at 1 over. He's 238th. He doesn't even qualify for the Korn Ferry Finals. I'm not sure what his exempt status will be for next year. We'll talk more about all of that with Dottie Pepper coming up. The Women's British Open is being played at the Woburn Golf Club in England. Ashley Buhai is at 12 under par, leading by 3 over Hanako Shibuno, and Lizette Salas is at 8 under par, 4 shots back. So we will talk with Dottie Pepper. She'll join us from the Wyndham Championship. You're listening to The Golf Show on the new WHBU and Muncie Sports Radio. Hi, I'm Brian Hammons. If you're tired of driving a half hour or longer to buy your golf equipment or apparel, don't. You don't have to be a member to shop at the Anderson Country Club's golf shop. They carry great clothing lines like Adidas, Nike, Under Armour, and Puma, and top-of-the-line clubs from TaylorMade, Callaway, and Titleist. And if you think you're saving money by driving to the big box stores, you're not. So save the gas and stock up on all your golf needs at the Anderson Country Club at 602 North Shore Boulevard in Anderson.
If you want to take your golf game to the next level, or if you're just taking up the sport, see Tom Harris at the Delaware Country Club in Muncie. The former Indiana PGA Professional of the Year guarantees that you'll improve, either with one-on-one lessons or through his popular women's clinics or the junior golf program. And if you need clubs, Tom can custom fit you from driver to putter using all the latest technology like TrackMan 4. For more information, go to TomHarrisGolf.com or stop by the Delaware Country Club at 510 South Country Club Road in Muncie.
Cohout and O'Neill Golf Management is a true friend of golf. They not only provide management and consulting services to some of the top courses in the state, Cohout and O'Neill courses host some of the most prestigious golf events in Indiana as well, including numerous Indiana Opens, state amateurs, and the boys and girls high school state finals. If you want to take your course to the next level, go with the team at Cohout and O'Neill. For more information, visit CohoutandO'Neill.com.
It's a Pete Dye masterpiece, the Pete Dye course at French Lick Resort. Pete says its location on one of the highest points in Indiana makes it special.
The long views, you can see maybe 20 and 30 miles from many of the fairways and many of the tees and greens, and you can see it in 360 degrees.
Donald Ross's Hill Course put French Lick on the golf map more than 100 years ago. It's where Walter Hagen won the 1924 PGA Championship, and the place where today's Symetra Tour ladies battle each year.
it's the ambience around it that makes the golf course.
Combine our many resort amenities with legendary golf, and you have a getaway like no other. French Lick Resort is the home of the Senior LPGA Championship, won in 2018 by World Golf Hall of Famer Laura Davies. Play the courses champions play. Plan your trip now online at FrenchLick.com.
It's time to get ready at the new PGA Tour Superstore. Get ready for custom-fit clubs. Get ready for expert advice and lessons from our certified teaching pros. Get ready for the largest selection of clubs, apparel, shoes, and more. Get ready, because the PGA Tour Superstore in Indianapolis is now open. Located at Clearwater Crossing.
Dutch Boy's new Platinum Plus paint with Stain Shield technology has the performance you expect from a luxury paint at a price you didn't. Platinum Plus is up to 50% more washable and stain resistant than a leading premium paint in satin sheen. Superiority ranges from 24 to 50% depending on sheen selected. Platinum Plus keeps your walls looking new longer. Menards and Dutch Boy Paint have you covered. Go ahead, live your life.
Bacon Fest is on at Wendy's. Wendy's sells the most bacon cheeseburgers in America, so we're celebrating with Bacon Fest and turning up the sizzle with the bacon double stack and the $5 Biggie Bag. Get ready for tons of hot and crispy bacon hits, like the $5 Biggie Bag featuring the bacon double stack, 4 nuggets, small fries, and a small drink for just $5. Only with Wendy's Bacon Fest. Based on servings among quick service restaurants over a 12-month period ending March 2019. Source the MPV Group Press. Price of participation may vary in Alaska and Hawaii.
I hit it hard, man. So far, man. No laying up, no holding back. Ain't afraid of nothing, it's a natural fact. I hit it long, man. I hit it hard.
And we're back on the Golf Show, brought to you by Cohoed and O'Neill Golf Management, the French Lick Resort, and the PGA Tour Superstore. Joining us now is Dottie Pepper. She'll be on the call this afternoon with CBS's coverage of the Wyndham Championship. Good morning, Dottie.
Good morning, Hammer.
Now, this is a fun tournament. I mean, it's the last regular season event of the year for the PGA Tour, so you really have a tournament within the tournament. You know, you're the players that are trying to win the tournament and those players that are trying to get inside the top 125 to make the playoffs and secure their playing privileges for next year.
Well, it's a fun tournament if you're not sitting on that bubble.
You're right. You're right. And this is a pressure-packed weekend for a lot of players. And you know, when I used to do Q school, you could walk around and just feel the pressure. Do you get that kind of feeling this week at the Wyndham?
Yes, you definitely do. And they had the first couple of days. They had 123, 124, and 125 paired together. I mean, that is brutal. So not only, you know, there's some of them don't have a win in the last couple of years to still be exempt for next year, and there are other parts of that puzzle to be aware of. But just you can cut some of this pressure with a knife for some of these guys that are out here, and you know, there's different layers of whether they're protected going forward. If they're going to go right to the Korn Ferry Finals, where they have no protection for next year. So there's changes even between them, but if you're clear sailing, this is a great tournament because they've embraced everything they are about summer in North Carolina, and it's essentially like a big beach party for Wyndham. It's fantastic, and it's on a Ross course that's just a classic. So there's two sorts of things going on this weekend.
Now, I don't think you've ever been in this position, but I can't imagine how hard it must be for those players who are outside the top 125, and for that matter, the top 150, because 150 is an important number as well, knowing that you have to play well every time you tee it up to have a chance to keep your card next week. That's got to be a pressure that you just don't want to feel.
It certainly is, and it's a pressure of literally losing your job. I mean, I know the pressure I felt going to qualifying school. And I went with a case of the shanks. You talk about pressure and not knowing when it's going to happen. But there are some of these guys that are actually playing pretty well coming in here and didn't know if they were going to get a spot in the field. So, again, there's so many layers of what the players are going through. And if you're in great shape, you're trying to ride that in. But you really do feel for the guys that are working through their jobs.
It'll be interesting to keep our eyes on three players in particular over the weekend. They're currently tied for third. Patton Kizzire, Adam Spencer, and Josh Teeter are all tied for third place, just a couple of shots out of the lead. They're all outside the top 125. So this is a very important weekend for those three players.
Yeah, absolutely it is. So if you don't finish in that top 125 and move on to next week, you want to at least be able to go directly to the Korn Ferry Finals, and that's that next layer. But think about this, too. Guys that are sitting around number 70, they're making a bigger cut than they've ever made at the first playoff event because of the compacted schedule. So there's that other little element, too, trying to make next week easier if you do get to go to Liberty National and play that first playoff event.
Now, you mentioned the Korn Ferry Finals, and that's a nice mulligan to have that the players didn't have a few years ago. I mean, you have another chance. You have a 3-tournament stretch to play well and get in the top 25 in those points. So that's a pretty nice mulligan to have.
It definitely is. There's been some criticism about not having what you talked about, the old Q school, and that 6-round torture chamber. But this is a really good thing. It's also I guess a AAA level of the same playoffs. So if you get hot and take advantage of that stretch of golf, you do make next year very comfortable and very predictable.
Yeah, we were talking earlier about some Hoosiers that are currently outside the top 150 and how important it is to get inside the top 150 and to become conditionally exempt. Can you give us an idea on how many tournaments you can get in being conditionally exempt?
You get in because of the fall series or the fall events. You're going to get in quite a few of those, but it gets less predictable once the calendar year switches. When guys start their, what do you want to call, real season, building into the West Coast and more of what we see as the lead up to the Florida swing and the players being part of that. So I think it opens a lot of doors for scheduling in the fall, when you're going to go to events like they have now at the Greenbrier, where they'll go to RSM on the east coast of Georgia. Those events will open up for you, but it becomes less predictable when you really want to set a schedule for starting in 2020.
And that's the important thing, isn't it, for players that finish inside the top 125, because they can sit down and go, okay, here's my schedule. Here's where I'm going to play. And they don't have any worries about getting in those fields. If you're conditionally exempt, you don't have that luxury.
You're waiting for the email or the text from the tour about whether you have a spot, or you're looking at who's hurt and who might not play or who might not start, and I'll get that spot in the field. But yes, you can go ahead and essentially look at a whole schedule and know that, okay, maybe I'm not into the Invitational, so that takes the Arnold Palmer and Tigers tournament and the Nicholas event hosted by Nationwide at the Memorial. Those aren't necessarily on my schedule, but that's my next goal. But you can surround yourself with a plan that gets you playing some of the golf courses that you know you're going to play well on, and others that if I play really well the next 3 or 4 weeks, I'm going to get into those.
So the FedEx Cup playoffs start next week. Do you think that has become interesting for golf fans?
I think it's still evolving, Hammer. I think they've made the changes this year to compress the schedule. You've taken the one in Boston off, and that bigger cut next week will, I think, add a little more sizzle to it going into the BMW tournament. And I think we have yet to see what the new scoring reset is going to do in Atlanta at the Tour Championship. So if we can revisit that in 4 weeks, I might have an answer for you. I think it's still evolving. I think that making the bigger cut next week is going to definitely add some interest. But I'm not quite sure what we're going to see with the reset and how they're going to score at Atlanta.
Well, it's now worth $15 million to become the FedEx Cup champion. I think that's gotten the interest of the players.
Yeah, and their agents and their tax guys, too.
Now, Tiger is entered to play the first 2 playoff events. Any expectations for him from you?
I don't know who's going to show up. He's played 10 rounds of golf since the Masters.
Yeah.
How healthy is he? How rusty is it? We saw little bits that were just too late at the Open Championship. I think you saw the same thing at the PGA. And he started to show some signs, and then, well, there's no more golf to play because I've missed the cut. I don't know what we're going to expect, but I do know it's a golf course that you can you don't have to be super long. You have to be smart to play at Liberty National, and then they'll move on to Chicago Medina, which is a big north sort of Midwest golf course that's just a monster. So I don't know what we're going to see. I would love to see him play well and keep going, but as it stands right now, he's going to have 2 pretty decent weeks to make sure he's in Atlanta to defend.
I asked this to Mark Lai last week. Do you think the Masters might have been just the exclamation point on what has been an unbelievable career, or do you think he can win again?
If it is the exclamation point, what an exclamation point it was.
No
Add
question.
one. Yes. But I think there's more in the tank. I think you're going to see him play more of the way Hogan did toward the end of his career. He's going to pick and choose, and he's going to have a life in between. His kids are incredibly important to him, and I don't think you can overstate that. That he wants to be around for them, but his body is also. It's not up to the punishment of playing the PGA Tour schedule, especially one that's compressed. So I think he can win again on certain places that he loves when his body tells him it's okay to be training to go do this. But if that was the exclamation point, I'm darn glad I had my seat at 13 when it happened.
So obviously Brooks Koepka is bringing some momentum into the playoffs, but who do you like to win the FedEx Cup Championship?
I have a hard time thinking that anybody else but Brooks Koepka is going to get this done. The guy rises to the occasion. And, I mean, what he did in Memphis last week was outstanding. He made one of the best fields of the year look like he was just toying with him. So I went out and shot a great number on Saturday, got myself close enough to McIlroy's lead, who shot 62 on Saturday, and then just slammed the door. And that seems to be this guy's MO. For as far as he hits the golf ball, there is such command over the flight, the trajectory, the distance, and when it matters most, this guy shows up ready to play.
So I guess he's practicing now heading into this, huh?
No, that's why he's not. He doesn't practice at home. You got to love the guy.
All right, well, I appreciate your time, Dottie. I will see you next week, actually, at the Northern Trust. I'll be there. We're a PGA Tour Live and Direct TV, so I'm sure I'll see you around the TV compound.
Well, don't be a stranger, because I'm doing cable Thursday, Friday.
Are you really? All right, well, good.
I am.
Are you staying in the city, or are you staying in Hoboken?
No, I'm staying close. All
right. Well, so are we. So maybe we'll hook up for dinner.
Okay, good.
That'd be great.
Love it.
Thank you very much for your time. I'll see you next week.
We'll see you next week.
That's the great Dottie Pepper. You'll see her later today on CBS's coverage of the Wyndham Championship. Coming up next, we're going to talk with Brittany Kelly, a former Ball State golfer who had a couple of great weeks recently. We'll talk to her about it when we come back. You're listening to The Golf Show on the new WHBU and Muncie Sports Radio. Hi, I'm Brian Hammons. If you're looking for a private, affordable, fun golf course, check out the Anderson Country Club. It's one of the oldest courses in Indiana, and pace of play is never a problem. It's a charming, old-school club with modern amenities, like brand-new golf carts and a new bar and casual dining area to go along with the formal dining room. It's a great place to create memories with family and friends. To learn more, go to anderson.net and click on the membership tab.
You make a million tough business decisions every day. So here's the easiest one of the year. Dell's Black Friday in July is back and bigger than ever. Get no-brainer deals on the very latest computers with Intel Core processors and a huge selection of servers, electronics, and more. All with free shipping on everything. To make your decision even easier, Dell's small business technology advisors can help you find just the right tech. Call 877-BUY-DELL. That's an easy call to make at 877-BUY-DELL or visit Dell.com/smallbusiness.
It's time to get ready at the new PGA Tour Superstore. Get ready for custom-fit clubs. Get ready for expert advice and lessons from our certified teaching pros. Get ready for the largest selection of clubs, apparel, shoes, and more. Get ready, because the PGA Tour Superstore in Indianapolis is now open. Located at Clearwater Crossing.
Today, business happens here, and virtually anywhere. Because today, innovative companies are reinventing the way business happens. And they need people who can keep up. With the expertise and technology to get packages to over 150 million delivery points. So, who can help you deliver the future of commerce? The United States Postal Service. See why we deliver more e-commerce packages to homes than anyone at USPS.com/future.
Cohoed and O'Neill Golf Management is Central Indiana's premier golf management company, providing management and consulting services to some of the top courses in the state. But that's not all. The Cohoed and O'Neill Caddy program has sent 10 high school caddies to college on full rides to IU and Purdue through the Chick Evans Caddy Scholarship, the most of any operation in the state in the last 5 years. For more information on the Caddy program, visit cohoedando'neill.com.
At Indeed, we believe a resume is a great way to see an overview of a candidate, but you're not hiring a resume, you're hiring a person. That's why Indeed offers tools that help bridge the gap between a candidate and the resume, like skill tests, which let you actually see a candidate's abilities in action to make sure they're a good fit for the job. See beyond the resume with Indeed. Experience Indeed for yourself today and get a free sponsored job upgrade on your first posting at Indeed.com/promo. Terms and conditions apply.
It's a Pete Dye masterpiece, the Pete Dye course at French Lick Resort. Pete says its location on one of the highest points in Indiana makes it special.
The long views, you can see maybe 20 and 30 miles from many of the fairways and many of the tees and greens, and you can see it in 360 degrees.
Donald Ross's Hill Course put French Lick on the golf map more than 100 years ago. It's where Walter Hagen won the 1924 PGA Championship, and the place where today's Symetra Tour ladies battle each year.
It's the ambience around it that makes the golf course.
Combine our many resort amenities with legendary golf, and you have a getaway like no other. French Lick Resort is the home of the Senior LPGA Championship, won in 2018 by World Golf Hall of Famer Laura Davies. Play the courses champions play. Plan your trip now, online at FrenchLick.com.
Gonna go out and play some golf, yeah, I'm gonna go out and play some golf. My golf bag's full of the latest stuff. I'm gonna go out and play some golf. My putter alone was $1,000. I'm gonna go out and suck at golf.
And we're back on the Golf Show, brought to you by Cohoed and O'Neill Golf Management, the French Lick Resort, and the PGA Tour Superstore. We're joined now by Brittany Kelly. Now, during the day, she's an assistant pro at the Woodland Country Club in Carmel. She played her college golf at Ball State, but she just had 2 great weeks. Last week, she won the Indiana Women's Open by 10 shots, the second time she won that tournament. This week, she won the Indiana PGA Assistants Championship, becoming the first female to win that event. Congrats. Brittany joins us now. Congratulations. Have you had 2 better weeks than that?
Thank you so much. I can't say I've had 2 back-to-back weeks like that ever in my career, so it's been fantastic.
Now, going back to last week, you won the Indiana Open. You began the final round with a 1-shot lead and then shot 66 in the final round, one of only 2 players to break par in the final round. You won by 10. So that was a dominant final round for you.
Yeah, I finally got some birdies to start falling, and I told myself I was going to just be fearless and, play my game and go after some flags, and I went for par 5s and 2. I mean, I was playing without the fear of what would happen if I mishit a shot. It was what was going to happen if I hit the perfect shot, and it ended up working out.
Now, that's a good field. You beat some really talented players in that field.
Yeah. There's always a strong group of girls in that field, and it's a lot of collegiate players, some really good high school players, as well as some really awesome amateur players, and a few pros here and there. But it's always got the best of the best, and it's fun to compete against those that are pretty well known in the state. So it was awesome.
So I'm sure that gave you some confidence then heading into this week's Assistants Championship, right?
Yeah. I mean, I kind of took it one day at a time. I realized, that was an awesome tournament with the women, but, going into the assistant championship, it does play just a little bit longer than the Open did. And I didn't have any expectations going into it. Purgatory is a tough course. You can make big numbers out there. So, I just kind of tried to play my game and not truly focus on a number or a score that I needed to shoot. I just, one step at a time, one shot at a time, and it started working out.
Now, that was a come-from-behind win. You trailed by 4 heading into the final round of the Assistants Championship. Then you shot 65 in the final round to win by 5 shots. So do you prefer coming from behind or playing with the lead?
I found out now I prefer playing from behind. Playing with the lead is a little bit more challenging. The expectations change. You don't necessarily go for stuff that you would go for if you were down by a couple shots. So playing from behind, I was going to go after my putts. I had to make birdies. So I like that. I like that point of view a little bit better.
What did it mean to you to become the first female to win that event?
It was, I've been trying to become, not just a female golf professional in the state, but, one of the better golf professionals in the state. But that big part of that is, I want to be that footboarder, the stepping stone for the rest of the women professionals that are falling behind me, that, hey, they can compete and play against the best assistant golf professionals in the state. And, to be the first it's an extremely, I feel honored to be in that position to earn that, being the first female to do that. But, it's only going to open up more doors for those behind me. And that's the whole goal, is to say, hey, she did it. Now I can do that as well. So it's pretty neat.
Now, when you compete against the men, do you play from the same tees or do you get a break?
So depends on the tournament. So that the Assistants Championship, I play 85% of the men's yardage. And then there's a couple other events that I play 85% of their yardage. And some of the open events that I play in around the state against the guys, I play the same tees as them. So it just kind of depends on which event I'm playing. But usually in the national events, you play 85% of whatever the men's yardage is.
Do the men ever give you grief for getting that 50,
Always.
that 85?
Always.
Yeah,
always.
I would imagine. Now, earlier this year in June, you got to play in a major championship, the Women's PGA Championship. I'm assuming that was a pretty big thrill for you.
It was. That was an amazing experience. You can't go into that expecting to shoot a certain score or anything. I was just soaking up every moment of it. I didn't have my best ball striking or my best game during that week, but the experience was unbelievable. Basically felt like you were a tour player for a week, which was kind of cool, and people asking you for autographs. And I mean, it was a whole different feel, something I wasn't used to, but pretty neat to say I've played in a major.
Have you ever played in front of that many people before?
Never, no. Yeah, that was a lot of people, great fans. It was a big crowd, which was a ton of fun.
What did you learn from that experience, if anything?
I think I took away that, it's not necessarily about what you're shooting out there. I mean, there were kids out there just watching us play and just excited to be around us and be in the game. And they didn't care if you had a bad hole or any, they just wanted to, can I have a golf ball? Can I have like they just wanted to see you play the game. And that kind of put it to perspective as, you're going out there and trying to represent yourself the best you can. And whether or not you have a great day or not, there's still people that are going to be cheering you on. So, I found that with my family as well. They were there with me no matter if I had a great day or a terrible day. So they've seen it all the last 2 months.
Now, professional golf is nothing new to you. I mean, you played the Symetra Tour for a couple of years. Why did you give up tour golf?
The lifestyle was not what I preferred. The travel, the long weeks away, you're staying in host family housing. You're living on basically no money. It's not the particular lifestyle. And I wanted to have a secure job, and I wanted to find a way to give back to the game. And becoming an assistant golf professional, a PGA professional, has opened up so many doors for me and still allowed me to compete and play. So this is definitely the better route for me that I would prefer.
So the way you're playing now, you haven't had thoughts of, maybe I should give that a try again?
I've had about 50 people ask me that same question, and the answer is always the same. I love my job. I love what I do, and I have no plans to go back and do that again.
So if playing on tour is not your goal, what are your goals in golf?
There's a couple this year that I'm still trying to achieve, and that's the inaugural Women's PGA Cup is this year. I find out at the end of the LPGA National Teaching and Club Pro Championship if I make the top 5 in points. And basically you get to represent United States of America. There's no purse or anything, but you play on a team with 4 other players, and you compete against other countries. So it's kind of like that Ryder Cup feel, if you will, event. But that's the goal right now. I'd also like to become a National Women's Player of the Year. A lot of things involved with that, but a point system based on tournaments throughout the year. So that's another big one. And then, I still want to be able to enjoy the game and play it every day, and whether that's just with members or competing in section events. But I just want to be able to enjoy it and keep my game in check. If someone wants to pull me out of the golf shop and go play around, I want to be able to still shoot under par.
So what's the rest of your summer look like playing wise?
So I've got a couple events left. I played in a few more section events, and then that national LPGA Teaching and Club Pro Championship, which is down at Pinehurst at the end of the month. And then I've got a Pro-Am here or there, and then I'm going to be going down to the National Assistance Championship. So it's a few more big ones on the list, but I've got a little break now, and I think I'm just going to take a few days off and enjoy it, and then get back at the grind and start practicing again.
Now, do you do much teaching at Woodland Country Club?
I give a fair amount of lessons. My lesson book is pretty booked daily. It's filling up quick, so I enjoy that part of it as well, especially seeing the results from some of my students that have been able to work their way and bring their handicap down, or hit the shots that they're looking to hit. So that's an awesome part of my job, and I truly enjoy it.
I've been real impressed being involved a little bit in the high school game about the talent level that we've seen recently in Indiana high school golf, both boys and girls. Have you seen that since your days, and which wasn't that long ago, when you were playing? Would you say now that the talent level is higher than it was when you were playing?
Oh yeah, I mean, there's always going to be your top players. But I think that the neat thing is that the offerings and the programs have expanded for the junior golfers nowadays than what we used to have. I mean, they've got the PGA Junior League and the drive, chip, and putt, where they're getting exposure at such a young age, and it's creating joy and makes them want to come back and play. And I think the team aspect of it gets that fire going for some of the players to say, I think I want to keep playing this game and work on that and try to get better. And there's the Operation 36 program has done a great job of building some players too, and you can see that coming through the Indiana Junior Golf program and up through the high school ranks, and even into the colleges locally. So I think it's definitely expanded, and talent has definitely got better. Technology's changed. I mean, your people have access to TrackMan, launch monitors. I mean, you're seeing all sorts of stuff, which is, I think it's still awesome for the game. It's going to, it's only going to make it better. But that talent, it's pretty neat to see.
Do you see yourself as a head professional someday?
Absolutely. That's the plan. Getting in my hours in as an assistant, but I definitely want to be in my own operation at some point.
Well, when you become a head professional, you'll be one of those that nobody wants to play because they won't be able to beat you. Congratulations on what has been a great summer so far. Best of luck for the rest of the summer. Keep playing well, and we'll be keeping tabs on you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
That's Brittany Kelly. She won the Indiana Women's Open by 10 shots a couple of weeks ago, and then this past week she won the Indiana PGA Assistance Championships. Coming up, we will talk about how important length is for junior players with Brad Fellers. You're listening to The Golf Show on the new WHBU and Muncie Sports Radio.
Coho and O'Neill Golf Management is Central Indiana's premier golf management company, providing management and consulting services to some of the top golf courses in the Hoosier State. Courses like Prairie View Golf Club in Carmel, Woodwind Golf Club in Westfield, Crestwood Country Club in Avon, Mystic Hills Golf Club in Culver, and here locally, Elwood Golf Links in Elwood. If your favorite golf course is searching for a new direction in leadership and management, go with the best. Visit CohouteandO'Neill.com.
Hi, I'm Brian Hammons. Golf can be frustrating for both beginners and accomplished players. If you want to eliminate that frustration and really enjoy the game, take lessons, and not from just anybody. Go to the Anderson Country Club. You don't need to be a member to take lessons. Director of Golf Brian Garrett and head PGA professional Zach Dreyer will help you achieve your goals in golf, whether you're just beginning or trying to make the tour. To set up a lesson, go to AndersonCountryClub.net.
Play legendary golf at French Lick Resort, the only place in the country where you can play courses by two Hall of Fame designers on the same property. Our Pete Dye and Donald Ross courses offer two very different challenges. Experience them both and save with our Hall of Fame package. Our two historic hotels are unique as well. Cap it off with a fun visit to the French Lick Casino. Check us out online at FrenchLick.com. Bring a group and save even more. Play legendary golf this season at French Lick Resort.
It's time to get ready at the new PGA Tour Superstore. Get ready for custom-fit clubs. Get ready for expert advice and lessons from our certified teaching pros. Get ready for the largest selection of clubs, apparel, shoes, and more. Get ready, because the PGA Tour Superstore in Indianapolis is now open. Located at Clearwater Crossing.
Dutch Boy's new Platinum Plus paint with Stain Shield technology has the performance you expect from a luxury paint at a price you didn't. Platinum Plus is up to 50% more washable and stain resistant than a leading premium paint in satin sheen. Superiority ranges from 24 to 50% depending on sheen selected. Platinum Plus keeps your walls looking new longer. Menards and Dutch Boy Paint have you covered. Go ahead, live your life.
Now that is an impressive looking vehicle.
Why, thank you. Just picked it up from R&M Custom Carts. New paint job, custom rims, improved headlights, beefed up seating space, and the best part?
What?
It's street legal. We're going to Karen's Mixer down the road this evening in this thing.
I would be proud to arrive in this golf cart with you.
Don't like that word.
Which one?
Golf cart. A machine as tasteful and sophisticated as this needs a name to match. So please, from now on,
personalized luxury leisure human transport vehicle.
I'm not calling your golf cart that.
Fine. Well, get in. We need to head to the party. Feel free to use the cup holders, by the way.
Actually, I prefer to call them integrated beverage holsters.
Touché.
R&M Custom Carts, 4001 West Kilgore Avenue in Muncie, the only area shop for golf carts, parts, repairs, and remodels. Stop by today or visit them online, rnmcustomcarts.com, and drive on your way to the life of luxury.
Bacon Fest is on at Wendy's. Wendy's sells the most bacon cheeseburgers in America, so we're celebrating with Bacon Fest and turning up the sizzle with the bacon double stack and the $5 biggie bag. Get ready for tons of hot and crispy bacon hits, like the $5 biggie bag featuring the bacon double stack, 4 nuggets, small fries, and a small drink for just $5. Only with Wendy's Bacon Fest. Based on servings among quick service restaurants over a 12-month period ending March 2019. Source the NPD Group Press. Price of participation may vary in Alaska and Hawaii.
Help, I need somebody help, not just anybody help. You know I need someone help.
We're back on the Golf Show, brought to you by Cohout and O'Neill Golf Management, the French Lick Resort, and the PGA Tour Superstore. Now, earlier this week, Aimpoint Golf tweeted out a comparison of driving distance to money earned on the PGA Tour and LPGA Tour. Now, the results were staggering. Not surprising, really, but staggering. The vast amount of money earned on both tours were by the longest hitters. For example, the PGA Tour. Those players who hit it on an average between 270 and 290 yards averaged only $195,000 in earnings. Compared to those players who hit it over 310 yards off the tee, they averaged over $3 million in earnings. Now, this is nothing new. The best players throughout history have all been long, but it seems there is no longer room for the Corey Pavins of the world. Now, I guess the moral of the story is if you're a parent of a young player, teach him to hit it a long way and don't worry about accuracy until later. Here to talk more about that is Brad Fellers, the owner of the Golf School of Indiana, which is at the Prairie View Golf Club in Carmel. Brad, first of all, thanks for joining us. And how important is length in today's game?
Well, Brian, thanks first of all for inviting me to come on the show today and talk. But, to your point, length has always been an important part of golf, but, it's ever growing from an importance standpoint and what we have going on with students. When we talk to young players, I tell them that the most important club in their bag has to be the putter. The next most important club in the bag has to be the wedge. The reason is those are the two clubs you're going to finish holes with. But the third club that we have to be good with is the driver. And, we basically teach them not to lose the ball with stuff in between driver and wedge, but hit it as far as you can and get that golf ball in the hole as quickly as you can. That's what we're trying to teach our players to do.
Now, what has dictated this change in the way the game is played? Is it strictly equipment?
Well, in my opinion, it's equipment. I mean, our business, we focus on two things. We focus on club fitting and then instruction, and we believe that those two things go together. And especially in the last 10 years, 15 years, what we've seen from equipment is we see golf clubs that have reached their potential as far as how far the ball can go, as far as center hits. But now we're seeing all of these clubs basically protect ball speed across the face. So in a real simplistic version, as long as you get that ball somewhere on the club face, it's going to go a long way with today's golf club. 20 years ago when I was learning how to play, 30 years ago, centerness of hit was far more important than swing speed. And now that's completely changed with the equipment that we have available to us today. You can hit it literally all over the face of the club and still maintain your distance. So we're teaching players to swing as fast as they can and get that club somewhere around the ball.
It would seem to me that if an instructor doesn't emphasize length to these young players, they're really doing them a disservice.
Yeah, I completely agree. And like I said, with club fitting, you can basically buy ball flight. The one thing you can't buy is speed. So we really have to do that. We have people working with, fitness instructors, TPI instructors, and the young player of tomorrow is only going to be stronger and faster than they are today. And so if you're slow today, you're going to be really slow tomorrow.
So give us an idea, and we're going to take professional golf out of the mix because it takes a rare person to be able to play at the tour level. But how long does a boy or a girl need to be to play at the college level these days?
Well, I mean, guys have to be flying at 280 plus. They have to have in the 110 plus in swing speed. I've got a young man who is a freshman at high school at Carmel who could carry at 290. I mean, he's the player, and he's 5'9", 5'10", 140 pounds, and he can hit it 290 in the air as a freshman. I just worked with a young lady last night who she's going to be a freshman at Carmel as well, and she's going to carry the ball. I mean, she can't weigh 100 pounds, 5'5", 5'6", and she's going to carry the ball 230, 240. So, I mean, it's amazing the speed that we can get these kids to generate.
You talked about 280 for the boys to be able to fly at 280 to play in college. What about a girl?
Well, I mean, I think the girls, they still haven't quite matched what the boys are doing out there. There's not as many girls hitting it as far, but that's changing all the time. We'd love to see girls be able to carry that ball 230, 240 plus. Halen Harris, who's an amazing young player up at Michigan State. She's jumping into that 230 range right now, and she qualified for nationals and won her sectional at the USAM qualifying. So, and that's been a big thing for her. When she was in high school, she didn't hit it that far, and she's found that extra length, which has given her more success at that college level.
So when you're working with a junior player, what kind of things can you do as an instructor to increase swing speed?
Well, the first thing we do is we devalue target and we devalue contact. And what I mean by that, Brian, is I want that player to be focused on how their body moves and how much tension is in their body when they swing the club. And if they're locked in on how they hit the ball and where it's going, then they're not sensitive enough to what their body's doing. So for me, I'm trying to get a player to get over that shot, control direction with alignment, control distance with what club they pull out of the bag. Obviously, if we're talking about driver, we're trying to hit it as far as we can. But once they get into a setup position, then all we're trying to do is do things to create speed, like use our core, turn, let our hands release late, and all of those big, strong, loaded muscles movements that we can create in golf.
Is there a certain type of swing that you teach to generate the most speed possible?
I wouldn't say that it's a certain type of swing as much as a swing sequence. So we want the player to get the club set fairly early. Then once they get to the top, we want them to get into a position of width. And then once they start down, we want them to unload their core and delay their arms. And their arms are going to finish late. So we're actually trying to get that player to get as open to the target at impact with their chest and hips as possible.
So what kind of a role does physical fitness play? Can you get length by getting stronger?
Well, I think there's no doubt. I mean, the faster we can move, the faster we can turn, the more we can separate our shoulders and hips, all of those traditional things that have been taught in golf for a long time. But now it's that range of motion. So we have these young players that are extremely flexible. So if we can get that club in position and then we can use that flexibility to move it quickly, then we're going to create speed.
Now, in baseball, obviously velocity is the big thing for a pitcher in baseball. And the human body, you're only going to be able to throw it as hard as you can. I mean, is the same thing true in golf? I mean, can you get a kid that he's just not going to be able to physically get enough speed to compete at a high level?
Well, I think there's such things as maxing out, right? As far as, and I think that's what you're talking about, right, is have we reached top speed for what our body can produce? And when we feel like we hit those numbers, that's when we turn them over to physical fitness people. Mike Crispin at the Fitness Garage here in Carmel works with a bunch of our kids. There's other players in the community as far as the physical fitness game. And we're trying to increase that range of motion, increase that core speed. And, the biggest thing that we've seen is we see the players that are limited, they're usually limited in their hip rotation. They can't get their hips to rotate enough. They don't have a big enough range of motion, and that takes a guy like Mike or, some of his colleagues to get that out of a player.
So, okay, what about older players? As we get older, we lose distance, we lose flexibility. How can we fight that?
Well, there's a couple things there. Number one is you have to make sure your equipment is optimized. There's no player playing at a competitive level, top high school players, college players, amateur players, professional players, that don't have every tenth of a mile an hour out of their ball speed and their club speed that they possibly can get from an equipment standpoint. Most of our more experienced players, our older players, they're not using the best equipment for their game. And then the second thing is most of them have been taught to play golf in my era or before, where they were taught that hitting it in the middle of the face is more important than hitting it hard. We have to laugh once in a while because we'll see certain situations where coaches of young players on a team event type competition, high school, middle school, whatever, they're actually coaching these players down from hitting driver, from swinging hard, from doing these things because that's how they were taught to play. And at the end of the day, that's actually causing more problems than it's helping. They get away from that competition and they go out and play individual tournaments and they're back to beating it out there. So, I think it's just a mindset. It's more of what you believe. If I have a player that's in their 50s that was taught how to play golf when they were in their teens, they're going to have a hard time letting me convince them that turning it loose and not caring how solid you hit it is the way to go.
Well, you see that on tour now. Players, they don't care if they hit the fairway because they're hitting at 320, 325, or in Rory's case, we've seen 360, 370. They might be in the rough, but they still only have wedge left, so they don't really care if they hit fairways.
Yeah, it's a completely different game, and again, it's because they're playing with different equipment. I firmly believe 100% if Balata golf balls, wooden club heads, and muscle back forgings of the, of even in the 80s, if that was introduced to the tour right now and said we have to play golf with this equipment, I don't think you see the same thing going on. I tell people all the time, you do not have to really be very good at hitting golf shots to play good golf. You have to create speed, and you have to be able to chip and putt. At the end of the day, you still have to chip and putt. And that's why for me, the driver's moved up to the third most important club in the bag, but you still have to be able to get the ball in the hole once you get it there.
I mentioned Corey Pavin earlier. It doesn't seem like there's any room for the Corey Pavins of the world anymore. Guys that really couldn't hit it very far, but boy, was he a shot maker, and his short game was unbelievable. Is there room for guys like that anymore?
Well, it's certain golf courses. You have to be able to compete on certain golf courses. Like my game in particular, I personally have a bone disease in my hand that caused me to lose a lot of speed that I'm never going to recoup. And last year I was fortunate enough to win the Indiana Section Championship at Bridgewater. And Bridgewater, we were playing, the wind was blowing. And in the final group, I played with two really good players, Chris Smith, Mike Asbell. And both of those guys combined probably hit 6 drivers all day. And I hit driver every hole. And so I'm hitting driver where they're hitting hybrid, they're hitting fairway wood or whatever, and I was able to keep up with them on that golf course. So in that situation, now the distance of the game was minimized, and it was more about accuracy. So I had a chance at that golf course. Prairie View is a similar golf course. But then if you look at the State Open where we